got Chris Salerno on the show. Dude, welcome to the show, man. I'm so excited to talk to you. You're 24 years old. I didn't realize how young you were, and you're out there just killing it in real estate.
Thank you.
I know that you hired Joe Fairless as a coach.
Yes, I did.
That you took down 364 units. Well, actually, last time I talked to you, it was under contract and almost ready to close.
Yep, it already closed. So in our portfolio, we have a little over 40 million and 364 units. So
crazy, man. Congratulations. So I get to ask you all kinds of, probably a million questions about how you acquired the property and everything about the coaching program and how it took you to get you where you are today. But
definitely.
Let's start off, because I know that you purchased 40-ish units to start. Walk us through your first deal. Actually, before we do that, I just want to let the audience know that I highly admire Chris Salerno, and you should listen to his content, man. He's on fire. He's 24 years old, recently engaged, and going to be getting married, and a super rock star, looking to grow his business bigger than Grant Cardone, if I'm correct.
Right.
So
bigger than Grant Cardone.
Very ambitious, and we're excited to have you on here.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the content that you're going to provide here. But let's see, before we go into the 40 unit that you bought, why don't you go into your background and how you evolved into multifamily syndication? Because I know you were in real estate originally, but now you've taken it to the next level. Tell us about that.
Yeah, great question. And thank you for having me on. I'm super excited. I always love listening to you and what you're doing over there. I started in the residential industry, selling residential homes. I knew that when I first got into it, I knew that I wanted a income that followed my work ethic, because I knew I would outwork all my competition. So that's why I got into residential real estate sales. From there, I've always had the goal to become a billionaire, and I know I'll achieve it. And I was working extremely hard in the residential industry, very quickly gained a success in there. Within 3 years, I sold more than 40 million worth of real estate just myself. With the success, it landed me in the position of leading the #1 team in the Carolinas, making them 46% profitable in 1 year compared to their 3 years of just being stagnant. They're around 104 million in sales once I got there. And just in 1 year, I got them all the way up to around 146 million in sales. So just breaking down their T12 or P&L when it comes to business purposes, and then training the sales team to be top sales performers. And then I really realized, brokerage is not on the path to my goal. Yes, it did help me gain the knowledge and build the relationships with the commercial brokers, but it's just not on the path. So I started studying. I wanted an asset class, and I always loved real estate. It's always different. Everything's it's not the same across the board. So I wanted something different. So I started studying it back in 2008 to 2012. And I studied all different type of asset classes: retail, industrial, office, anything you name. I studied in regards to commercial, and I really wanted an asset class that was still very strong. In last 2008 to 2012, it was a very bad market for many of us. So from that, I realized that multifamily was a very strong asset, especially B and C, which that's what we focus on here at QC Capital. And from that, I started digging deeper into the asset classes: A, new construction, newer type of products; B and C, value add. And I realized that I needed to be in the B and C value added, where I can go in there, fix it up, make it look extremely nice like an A class, but not charge A class prices on a monthly basis, increase them, but not charge what the A class is charging. So from there, that's when I started studying it for about a year. And then I started listening to podcasts, gaining my education. After that, I went to a local meetup here and met a gentleman who has created wonderful success, Mr. Dan Hanford.
Yes.
Great person. And from there, I realized that he has to have a coach. And I used to coach in the residential, and I used to coach sales and do small sales conferences. And I then asked him who his coach was, and it said Joe Fairless. So I said, I listened to his podcast, never knew he coached. I would like to get in. So it's a very selective group. He doesn't take everybody. So I had a couple calls with him. We hit it off very well, and I ended up joining the program. And then after that, I'm a big believer in taking risk, but very calculated risk. I left selling residential real estate in December, or actually February of last year. I hired my coach in December, and I told him, I said, 6 months, I want you to hold me accountable. I'm done selling residential real estate. He says, okay, I'm going to hold you to it. 1 month later, I called him up. I said, I'm done. He said, it's only been a month. I said, well, hey, I work best when my back's against the wall. And as humans, it's in our nature to survive and do whatever it takes to survive. And I knew that if I had another income coming in, I really may not, as you may feel it or think it, but truly you may not be as productive as you would if it's just your only source.
Cut off the ties.
Correct. So I cut off the ties, hopped straight into it, founded QC Capital February 1st, 2019. Since then, like I said, we have a little over 40 million and 364 units and looking to grow that portfolio substantially.
Man, that's killer. I can't believe you're only 24 years old. So let's start a little bit further back. You were in residential retail sales and you bought a 40 unit. Did you take the income? How did you get that first 40 unit? And then right after that, we'll go into the next deal. I have a ton of questions about that.
Yeah. So it's actually 44 here in Charlotte. I bought that with no money down. And I took a big risk going into that. I have a very close client of mine who used to buy single family homes from me, but I converted him over to passive multifamily investing, which he now adores it and loves it, and also loves the tax benefit that he's getting. But he's a high net worth individual executive for a public company. And I came to him, sat him down, and I said, this is, prior to the 44, he's invested in 2 deals. From me that I presented to him. And when I came to him about this 44, I did not have it under contract. I found it off market through broker relations. And I told him, and I'm a straightforward person and I tell it how it is. I said, I'm looking to acquire this property, but when you do acquire it, you need earnest money. And he knew the earnest money and all that from the residential side. I said, would you be willing to give me a loan, a line of credit, a personal line of credit, and it would be a 2-year line of credit, and I would pay you back if for any reason I end up losing the money, or if for any reason losing the money, I have 2 years to pay you back $160,000. He said, I trust you, Chris. I trust where you're going with this company, and I know you'll do it. So he gave me a personal line of credit as a loan for $160,000 that I then took that and put it down as hard money day one, which is very nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
because if I backed out for any reason, I'm done. For any reason, I am done. So it was extremely nerve-wracking, but I got the deal done, and we were able to raise a 2.125 raise for that particular property, fully funded, and all of our investors are already seeing their first distribution 2 weeks ago. Renovations have already for 2 units have already been completed, and we are bumping the rents. We're increasing the rents from average $886 to $1,300.
Wow, that's a big increase in rent. So it must have been pretty beat up, or it was really mismanaged, or
it was mismanaged. There's no on-site office, and the previous property manager was charging for an on-site office of $54,000. So I knew right when we acquired it, our investors got an additional $54,000 a year income. So I really dug deep into the T12 to understand what was missing, what we can do to improve the T12, and then what the rent comps are for the area. My biggest thing is that I invest heavily in the Charlotte market, and I also invest heavily in the Raleigh market. And I know those markets like the back of my hand. And when it comes to it, you have to be extremely familiar with the markets, because if you're not, during a market correction, your property may go south, and you do not want that to happen for your investors and for yourself. So I only invest in the markets I really know, and I spend a lot of time and effort in studying.
Yeah, man, because raising capital, it's part of it is asking for it, for the money. However, the bigger part and the more important part is the value add that you're providing, the opportunity that you're giving to somebody. And when you convince them that you know what you're doing, they're more likely to invest. And that's how you raise the 2.1 million. Is that how many investors did it take to get that?
That was a little shy of 50.
Yeah, so people will definitely invest with you if they know, like, and trust you, and trust in your ability to make money on the deal. So you were able to convince people to do that. Not necessarily convince them, but share the opportunity with them. So that's phenomenal. Walk us through, you get your 44 units, you raise the capital, your success, you got some momentum, you're building your track record, and now at what point did you get your coach, and how did he get you to the point where you acquired an additional 364 units?
Yeah, so I actually I got the coach way before all this. So before everything, I hired my coach and my mentor because I knew going into this I needed someone to shine a light down the path. So I do not make mistakes. Our investors are pleased that someone else is also overlooking the property who has a wonderful track record and have a lot of units under management. So I hired him before I even got jumped straight into this. But the really big thing is having a coach and having a mentor helps you limit your mistakes. And this is all about building relationships and building connections here in this type of business. Relationships are everything. So it's extremely important to build those relationships in this business.
Yeah, man. Speaking of relationships, I know that you just went to a few networking events, and I saw you on an airplane with Dan Hanford. Where were you headed, man? That's
We left. So the biggest thing is being productive, and I'm a stickler about it. You have to be productive no matter what. And a lot of people say, well, I'm busy. Well, busy's not being productive. So there's a big difference of being productive and being busy. So I knew that Dan Hanford, which is a very good friend of mine, we partnered on some deals, and I've raised money for some of his. The biggest thing I realized was we were both going to one event down in Dallas, and that we were flying to the next one in Washington, D.C. So instead of me sitting on an airplane by myself and working, I decided to reach out to him and find out what airplane he's on and get the seat right next to his so I can mastermind with him. We can talk business and also work. And then we're in an hour Uber in the car, both to the airport and from the airport to our hotel, and then dinner at the hotel. So it's really surrounding yourself with people who have the same goal in mind as you and where you want to go. I make sure, and I realize this after contacting the closest 5 people to me, I asked them all their goals and what they wanted, one for themselves and one for their company and their family. And it's everything that I am achieving as well and want to achieve. So I know that my closest 5 knit group that I have that's closest to me, we all have the same goal in mind and we're all striving for that same goal. So that's a big thing to also keep you on your toes so you're more productive than busy.
okay. So I heard earlier before we got on the show, you had went to the Think Multifamily event. Was that in Dallas? And then you went to another event in Washington. Which 2 events were they? And what did you?
I went to Think Multifamily, which was in Dallas. Phenomenal event. Mark Kinney put it on. And feel free to @ Mark Kinney at this because he is a great mentor, great person to learn from as well. But he put on that event. I would say if you're looking to really scale your business and take it to the next level, it is a smaller knit group, and they're very high quality people that go to that event, which was extremely beneficial. So that was a phenomenal event. Then I flew Sunday evening at 8:30, got in around 11:30 to the hotel to Washington, D.C. And then that was a middle market event. Bigger institutional funds that were there, bigger institutional companies that were there that we were all networking with.
So did you find people in the institutional arena that were interested in multifamily, or what kind of conversations did you have with those guys?
Great question. So it was a multifamily event. So everyone there were very heavily involved into the multifamily space. Made a couple great connections that I just got some emails coming in that they're following up the connections because a lot of people are interested in the Carolinas, but it is extremely hard to find a good deal. And it's also hard to get awarded a good deal. So I'm very pleased with the connections and the commercial brokers that I have built here in the Carolinas, coming from that brokerage side of the industry. That those bigger institutional, financial institutional type of people are very excited about the deals here in Charlotte, both on the equity and debt side. Mainly the ones I've had discussion with while I was at that event are on the equity side.
Yeah, I know that in order to raise capital, I need to get out there and network, and anybody does. So going to events like this, there's one that I'm coming up, Todd Dexheimer's event in Minneapolis, and I'm considering, I know Adam Adams is having an event for capital raising specifically out in Denver. in early October. So I want to go to that one as well. Are you
I've
heading?
heard nothing. I've heard nothing but great things about Adam Adams and his event. Excuse me. Heard nothing but great things. I've chatted with him before in person at previous events. He's a phenomenal person, and I think that event is something that someone should have on their calendar because it really. I've seen the panel that's on there, and they know how to raise money, and that's just going to be a wealth of knowledge going to that event.
Yeah, specifically for me, because I want to raise capital for my team, the Bakersons, who's got a successful track record, but just joining them, I got to prove my worth. And one of the best things that I can do, I mean, outside of reaching out to people on LinkedIn, which has been very effective for me, but I need to go to events, not just these conferences, but go to local events, meet people in Scottsdale, go to the Chamber of Commerce events, and try and get in front of high net worth individuals at black tie events and whatnot. So I think this is very powerful opportunity, or I should say that networking in general. I mean, like you said, you take the 5 people that are closest to you,
Correct.
and then you find out, because you're a reflection of who they are, find out what they are, and if they're in alignment with you, and if they're not, go out and create a new circle of 5 best friends.
That's right.
But going into that, your mindset, I know that you're talking about becoming a coach. Is that right?
Yes, I have already created a program or an outline for our program. It is a very specific program it's very small, tight niche. I'm not marketing it out. I want very high quality people in that program so they can really get the education about capital raising, about how to build relationships with investors and passive investors, and what to do to create a deal and how to raise money. So it's a very small, tight knit group that I am not marketing out there, and I'm only taking a handful of people. So it's very great quality of people.
I hear you. You definitely want to be selective about that. But just out of curiosity, what is the approach that you're going to take? Is it going to be mindset training? Is it going to be like, here's what you need to do to become or scale your business in multifamily syndication? Is it going to be on the business side? Is it going to cover spiritual aspects, emotional, physical? Is it going to be all of that, or specifically business?
Great question. So when it comes to it, I'm going to really talk heavily on mindset. 98%, in my opinion, 98% of success is mindset. That 2% I take that back. 90% of it is mindset, and that 10% is actually taking action and doing it. So you really have to get that mindset right. The first week of military, if you enlist in any type of military, it's called Hell Week, where they tear your brain down mentally and build you up into a soldier. So that's what I'm going to do for individuals who do join, is that I'm going to tear their brain down. I'm going to build it back up into a multifamily syndicator, capital raiser mind of thinking on how to create a deal, how to structure a deal, what to say to an investor, how to say it to an investor, how to pitch a deal, how to build the relationships with an investor, and how to make sure they trust you and they bring you referrals. So that's really, it's going to be on the mindset, and then how to grow a business, not just how to buy one apartment complex and you're done. It's how to actually grow a business and scale your business.
Yeah, man, that's very interesting. So let's take your model that you're talking about and let's apply it and maybe do a case study to your 364 unit, because there's so many aspects to syndication. It's not just a capital raise. You got to find the deal. You got to underwrite the deal. You got to have a team in place. You got to raise the capital, and then you got to have a vision for what you want to do and how you're going to reposition it. And then you have to have an understanding of the market. You've gone into all those aspects, but specifically for your 364 unit, tell us about how you put all those pieces in place.
Yeah, so with the 364, that is combined with the 44 and 2 other properties. I've raised for those 2 other properties from some of my network and building relationships with my network. So when it comes to really putting them in place, it's understanding the deal, understanding the underwriting at a very high level. My weakness is underwriting. I'm straightforward and honest with everyone. I do outsource that, and I do have 2 other business partners that is their strengths. So I believe very heavily is that you need to figure out your weakness and figure out your strengths. outsource your weaknesses to someone else's strengths, and you focus on what you're good at. And we all win together. Like I said earlier, this is a relationship type of business. You build strong relationships so we all grow together and we all hit our goals together.
So Mindful Multifamily, I was one of the first members of that group.
I know.
Very excited about it and where you're going with it. I tune in every time I go on Facebook, which is getting less more often, spending a lot more time on LinkedIn. But when I do go on Facebook, man, the real estate groups, especially the multifamily groups, are a place where I like to go and network and meet people. So tell us, what do you want to do with the Mindful Multifamily group? I know that you want to provide value.
Yes.
What's your vision for it?
The reason for it is because I want to help people. The more people I help, the more, one, we all work together and we all hit our goals together. So as much as I can add value to someone's life, it's also leaving a legacy. And that's a big thing. I do have big goals to accumulate a high net worth personally. And the way I see it is the more money I have, the more people I can help. But I want to leave a legacy. In my opinion, it's good for Bill Gates, Warren Buffett to sign that petition, and 85 or 80% other billionaires to sign a petition that when they pass, the majority of their wealth goes to a charity of their choice. That's all good. But in my opinion, that next day, the charity is going to still be begging for money. And who's really operating that charity. Any nonprofit, if you invest in a nonprofit, I highly recommend to ask that nonprofit for their P&Ls. You're allowed to. They should supply their P&Ls to you as a nonprofit, because some nonprofits have 10 million just sitting in the bank doing nothing. So I really feel that to leave a legacy, and it's a strong word, is leaving a legacy. My goal is to help by having investors invest with QC Capital alongside QC Capital, is help them create financial freedom, and then help create their kids' financial freedom, and then their kids' financial freedom. So if I can change someone's whole family tree and make it financially free, then that tells me I left a legacy.
Yeah, that's very powerful. I've actually heard of some concepts where people, instead of donating all their money to a charity, they find a company to run their assets and then kick off the cash flow to that charity, because that way the charity doesn't mismanage the money, but they always have a stream of income. There's some very powerful lawyers
Correct.
that come up with these ideas and all kinds of other things, like even estate planning for kids that are going to mismanage the money, to have
You're 100% correct. Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to a couple other things. I know that you want to grow your business like crazy.
Yes.
Leave a legacy, but why are you? I guess you answered it already. If you're going to outgrow some of these really high net worth people like Grant Cardone, the purpose for that is so that you can help as many people as possible. But is there an underlying motivation? Is that what it is? Is it the legacy part of it?
It's the legacy part. It's the legacy part to give back and to leave a legacy, helping people create financial freedom. I have a couple people that play in the stock market, and I tell them, I said, your stockbroker gets paid whether you buy or sell the stock, whether you're winning or you're losing, and then also they get paid on top of fees and everything. To me, that's not right. You should get paid. The investor should get paid before the operator gets paid. So that's how I have everything structured. And that's how I want to leave a legacy, is creating that financial freedom. Also, my mother about 3 years ago got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. Mm-hmm. So big thing is that I want to create a private institution that is an all natural, healthy way, because the doctor gave her 3 to 6 months to live, and she actually beat cancer, stage 4. And she's on her 3rd year, healthy as can be, by doing it the all natural way and not taking chemo or anything like that.
Yeah, I actually have a passion about that. One of the things that I wanted to do, my charity of choice was it was going to be an education company about eradicating cancer, because there's a lot of cures to prevent cancer and to maintain and just to reverse cancer. And a lot of it is diet and natural supplementation and what you put into your body and how you treat yourself and mindset.
That's 99%. I mean, well, like you, I didn't mean to interrupt. Like you just said, it's mindset. Mindset's the biggest thing. And then it comes down to what you put into your system. I mean, if you put oil in your gas tank of your car's not going to work properly. You know, if you put the wrong type of gas in, it's not going to work properly. So what you put into your system, your body's not going to perform at a peak level. And then it's having the mindset. Your mind controls everything in your body. My mind is telling me to speak these certain words. My mind's telling me to move my hand. So your mind is your strongest part of your body. So that's why you have to make sure you have a positive mindset, so you can overcome any negative situation that is presented to you. Just like what happened to us a couple weeks ago, while we were on this. I have a very strong and positive mindset to get me through circumstances like that. So it's extremely important to have that.
Yeah, I use auto-suggestion and the techniques in Think and Grow Rich, and I've read a book by Joseph Murphy called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And it really is like when you start to believe and use auto-suggestion and plant seeds into your, what they call the garden of your mind, you really start, in some cases, if you're in alignment with the things that you say that you want, you can actually start to manifest things. I've noticed, like, I wrote down a description of my ideal mate, so I had, what she looked like, what languages she spoke, what she wanted to do, what she did for fun, just a very long description. I would read it and I would do this declaration, what I call the declaration or my intention statement. I would read it every day and I started to see manifestation. But part of it, the mindset part of it is doing those things on a consistent basis to
Correct.
brain, because it's easy to have that thing, but maybe not read it every day or do the things that those books tell you to do.
I agree. Mindset's very important to me, and I know we discuss it all the time. And if you follow me on any social media platforms, you'll hear me say mindset, 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 and positivity. I just read a book called, it's by Manny Cushman, Driven, The Never Give Up Roadmap to Success. And he came over here with no money at all and built over $100 million just himself, a portfolio. He lives out in California. And he said, I was watching a podcast, he drew back in 1995, he drew the house that he wanted to live in. And then it was a mansion. And then he drew his wife that he wanted to have. And now to this day, he showed both of those pictures and they exactly look like what he has now.
Yeah, man, putting it out there to the universe, as long as you are doing things that don't prevent you from having the bad karma, which I specifically,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
I used to be religious and now I'm more spiritual, and all those things are great, whichever choice you have. But now I'm a better person because I'm so concerned that if I step out of line or do things that I used to do when I was religious but not focused on the karma side of things, now it's like I prevent myself from doing anything that is a temptation, just so that I have the alignment with my source, so that I can have the power to manifest things and it works.
Laws of attraction.
Laws of attraction.
I highly believe it.
That's it. So I'm so glad that you spoke on mindset, because I find it to be very important. Now let's talk about capital raising.
Yes.
That's the theme of the show. What do you do to raise capital?
Great question. I build very strong relationships. Very, very strong relationships. And I don't force anything. I educate people. That's a big thing, because in any position you're a salesperson, but when it comes to it and you want someone to invest in yourself, like Dan Hamford says, they have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you, but they have to do all of that. They also have to do that in the deal. They have to know, like, trust the deal, and then they have to know, like, trust you in the deal. So I love that saying, and it's very true. So you really have to just educate them. I send investors what we're working on and what we have on for the future, but I'm just educating them. Not saying, hey, you need to go ahead and invest in this. I just say, this is what I have on the plate. Let me know if you have any questions. If you pass, that's 100% completely fine. But then I dig deeper into it. Why are you passing? Is there something I didn't see that you don't like? I dig deeper into it in regards to that. But I really dig deep and build strong relationships, not just business relationships, but family relationships. One of the gentlemen who gave me that loan to get started, we are wonderful friends. Our families are friends. I go out to his house. He comes to mine. We go to breweries together as a family, both of our families. So we're extremely close together. So it's building that relationship and that long lasting friendship with each other, and help each other grow. Excuse me.
Yeah, social media as a tool for raising capital. Some people say yes, it's necessary, but I know plenty of people that are raising capital that are not on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. And it's like you said, creating the relationships. But
Yes, I agree.
I also agree, or I believe that it can be used as an effective tool for raising money. I've raised money off just YouTube videos.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? Is it necessary? Do you need to be on social media, or how are you using it as a tool?
Great question. I think for each individual, really one is you got to sit down with yourself and figure out your goals and what your goals are, and what you need to do to achieve those goals. Number two is if you do market, and you do put yourself out there on any social media platforms. First, I'm not an attorney, but consult your attorney to make sure that you are marketing and you're staying compliant with the SEC, because the last thing I would want is anyone to have their door knocked on and it's the SEC trying to ask for questions on them. So make sure you contact your syndication attorney so you are very aware of what's going on and how to market your deals and your company. But yes, I think social media is extremely, if you're looking to grow a huge business, you need to be on all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram very heavily, Chris_Salerno_, YouTube, Facebook, podcasts, LinkedIn, Bigger Pockets. Twitter, I am not so much on. I know Twitter's a great platform, but I just feel focusing really heavily on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and then the podcast as well, that it will be extremely beneficial for the growth of the company.
Tell us about your podcast because you haven't launched it yet, right?
Actually, I have. It is out. I do it. It comes out every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. So it's once a week on a Saturday. It comes out. It's the Mindful Multifamily Show, and I can't wait to have you on it. And we talk about mindset, positivity. We talk about multifamily and real estate investing. I also have some wonderful entrepreneurs that are on there who are looking to get into the multifamily space. So we get to speak to the entrepreneurs out there who have created very successful businesses and now transferring their vision into multifamily to scale to the next level. So it's really a lot about entrepreneurship, mindset, and real estate investing.
Well, you're very articulate and you have a high energy about you. So I
Thank
can
you.
tell that your show is going to be amazing, or already is amazing. Can't wait to tune in now that I know about it. But for somebody like me, or maybe another person that's interested in starting a podcast that doesn't feel like they're good at managing their energy, or that they have the speaking ability, or they're not a public speaker, it can be scary, man. My first few shows, I was stuttering. I was saying like every other word. But it's a lot easier now.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, so I knew that I had to take the approach of ready, fire, aim. And
Yes.
I would recommend, if you're going to do a podcast, I spoke to a gentleman yesterday who's about, I think he's got a few units, a few multifamily properties, but he wants to start syndication in the hundreds of units, and he wants to start a podcast, but he's like, everything's got to be perfect before I launch it. I'm like, no, man, just get on there and
Just do it.
Yeah, learn along the way. So that's what I'm trying to do. I needed to get this content out there and have people like you. And the faster you do it, the better, and the faster you're going to modify and refine it. So that's an exciting aspect. And I'm really stoked about your show.
Thank
Can't
you.
get on there. What else are you doing? So you have your social media, you have your podcast. What are you doing other than that to create relationships?
I'm traveling to networking events as you saw. I'm traveling to networking events, getting little sleep, going to all these events, and traveling back and forth to them. But it's very important. And actually, the 19th, I'm flying. I haven't booked the plane ticket, but I will be flying early Thursday morning, and I will be flying into New York City. I have meetings in the morning with investors, and then I have an event in the evening, and then I'll be flying back late that evening. So just spending one day in New York City, and it's being productive with my time. So when I'm there, I am setting up back-to-back meetings with all these individuals to make sure I'm staying extremely productive. So it's building face-to-face relationships in front of people at these networking events and gaining the education. Now, I have built a wonderful knowledge about how everything operates. So when I'm there, I do go into some of the sessions. If the sessions sound knowledgeable, something that I can always gain knowledge, but something that I need to sharpen up even more. But the big thing is networking. When you go to these networking events, make sure you have a lunch coffee set up, a lunch breakfast set up. Make sure you have meeting set up in between breaks. Make sure you have a lunch meeting set up. Make sure you have meetings in between breaks in the afternoon, and then make sure you have appetizer evening meeting, and then a dinner meeting set up. And then if you do drink, have a little drinks or snack meeting at the very end of that dinner meeting to make sure you are extremely productive throughout the time. Now, the biggest thing that I have seen and a lot of people fail at is they do build these relationships, they do build these connections, but then when they get home, they don't stay in contact. They don't stay consistent with building that relationship with those individuals. You and me can talk all day at an event, and then if I don't follow up with you that week or that month, or just don't talk to you at all, or we don't have a true relationship. You don't feel trustworthy in investing or raising capital for any of the deals. So it's very important to stay in contact with those individuals that you've met, even if it's a 30-minute phone call, 15-minute phone call, but stay consistent with that so you can keep growing your business at a substantial rate.
Yeah, the Bakerson team, we have around 250 units right now. And we got another 70 to 75 units under contract in Tucson. But we want to get up there. You may say it's a modest goal, but we want to get up to 10,000 units.
Oh, you got it. You can do it.
That's my focus within the group. I'm not sure if everybody's on board, but the main people are. We want to get 10,000 units. And one of the main concepts or mindsets that you need to have, or maybe not need to have, but that can work for you, is to partner with other people. So we're considering doing some co-GPs. What are your thoughts on partnering with other syndicators as you're growing and scaling your business? Is that something that you would do for yourself? Yeah.
Always. I think this is a relationship type of business. I'm in this for the long haul. I'll be in this for the next 100 years, and I'll do more than 100 transactions. I'll do more than 10,000 transactions the next 100 years. So it's a long-term business. Warren Buffett made 98% of his wealth after the age of 65 or 56. Sorry, 56. He made 98% of his wealth, and you can Google it and look at the chart. So it's a long-term business, and I'm all about making it a win-win situation. So if you and I can partner together to make sure our investors receive the right returns and that they're pleased with it, I'm all for it. I'm always investor mindset first. And if it makes sense to the investor, and if they would be pleased with it, then it would be a great partnership. But I'm all about partnering and building that relationships so we can help each other reach our goals. Because reaching those 10,000, which is a phenomenal goal, and I know you will achieve it, reaching those 10,000 goals, if you guys try to do it on your own, it's going to take you the next 20 years. It's going to be extremely difficult. But if you start to partner with larger institutions or with other GPs for the deal, you guys will scale at a quicker level, and you'll be able to hit that 10,000 in the next 5 to 6 years.
So if somebody wants to co-GP with you, let's co-GP, man. Let's do something.
Hey, let's talk about it. I'd love to. Let's talk about it. We can talk about it. The deal has to be right for the investors, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, man. We focus specifically in Arizona, but we need to, if we're going to get to 10,000 units, I know that we need to go into the southern part of the United States, Texas. We're looking at Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas right now. But the money, the markets, and all of the great investors tend to be hanging out over where you're at, man. I should buy a house out there and figure that market out.
Yes, come over here. I definitely would love to have you over here.
That'd be cool, man. We could go to lunch every day or whatever. Anyways, so I'll set something up with Bruce, but you recommend that co-GPing and partnering with people, because I had massive mindset issues because I was trying to just make some money, buy a fourplex, and then within a year or two, buy another fourplex, and then within a year or two, get another, double the portfolio and double it 5 times until I had 132 fourplexes, which is more than enough passive income for me at this stage in my life. But as I hang around with people like you with these bigger mindsets, I know that I can contribute more than that. And I don't have to do it alone, man. I can partner up with people. And that's a big part of my mindset shift that just recently happened.
Good,
So
good.
I'm excited about that.
Love it.
And let's see. Establishing your authority image and managing your energy. So you're using social media to do that. You're always dressed sharp.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So the biggest thing is social media can be negative if you follow negative people, which anyone posts anything negative on my Facebook or Instagram, I do unfollow them, and not just unfollow them, I unfriend them because I do not want to see their stuff. If they're negative, they don't need any part to be into my life. So what I do is that I focus extremely heavily on having everything on my Instagram, my Facebook being positive quotes, positive people. So that brings that positivity out in my life, because in this entrepreneurship journey that you and I are on, and especially here in the multifamily industry, you do have high highs and you do have low lows. So you need to make sure when you're at that low, you have that positive and that strong mindset to take your business to the next level and to get you through any negative hurdle that comes across your door.
So people wanting to get into multifamily syndication that are starting from scratch, do you feel that maybe being a passive investor on the first deal so that you can get your feet wet, learn about it, and then take that knowledge from that deal is a good avenue? Or do you say just jump right in, get a coach, and start putting together a team and underwriting deals? What is the best approach for somebody wanting to get involved in multifamily syndication that's starting from scratch?
Starting from scratch, I say jump right in, build that relationship, build that reputation, add value to a lot of these operators and other people. And then from there, go ahead and hire a coach, hire a mentor to take your business to the next level, because you will need a coach and a mentor to take your business to the next level in any business you are in.
Yeah, I'm about to hire a coach as soon as his next spot frees up in the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited about that. And he says that he's going to hold me accountable to raising the capital that I need to get.
You can do it.
I definitely can. I know it, but it definitely helps. I know that a coach, a mindset coach or accountability coach, any type of coach, because I have a background from many, many, many years ago in the network marketing business. We used to sell real estate education through a company that's no longer around. But the people that always had the greatest success were the people, the greatest probability for success were the ones that had coaches in their system. So I knew before I got involved with this that I wanted to have a coach. So I'm hiring one. I definitely recommend that. But hey, before we sign off here, I want to give you a chance to let people know how to get a hold of you. I know you can be reached at Chris at QC Capital, but your Instagram again, you're on LinkedIn, you're on Facebook, so you're not hard to find. But if somebody wants to invest with you, what are the best ways to get a hold of you?
Yeah, thank you very much. The best ways to get a hold of me is chris@qccapitalgroup.com, which is my direct email. If you have or if you want to gain more information, please go to our website at qccapitalgroup.com. And then you can also check me out on my Instagram, Chris_Salerno_ and my Facebook, which is just Chris Salerno. I highly recommend people to check me out on social media so you really get a feel for my life and who I am as a person with my family and everything. And then check my website out so you can see our portfolio and what we're looking to do to grow our portfolio. And then shoot me an email. Definitely would love to set up a call to chat with you and see how I can add value into your life.
Yeah, man. Just on social media, you're adding a lot of value. So I love checking you out on there.
Thank you.
You can find us on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. You can reach out to, or I should say, you can find us on YouTube at capitalraisershow.com or Apple Podcasts at capitalraiserpodcast.com. That's where you're going to be able to get a replay of this. And share, like, subscribe, make a comment, do a review, all of that good stuff. I know
Love it.
you hear it all the time, but that's about it for the show. I look forward to having you back on there, possibly getting on your show. I'd be a little
Yes.
nervous about that. I don't know what kind of value I can provide. I know I can provide some value, but the people,
You can provide a lot of value. I know you can.
yeah, the syndication arena. I know there's people more qualified to do that, but that's why we're all growing in this together. So I definitely
Correct.
want to do whatever I can to help as many people as I can. It's about that, but it's also about self-actualizing and some other things. So with that, we're going to sign off. Once again, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's exciting to have people like you that are young and coming up, 24 years old. I've had a few young people, a 27-year-old with 307 units, and a couple other ones that are scared to come on the show because they have the deal under contract, but they haven't closed on it yet. And I'm like, dude, you have so much value to provide, but don't be afraid to go on a podcast. I guess I should listen to my own advice. And with that, we'll say sayonara and we'll check you out on the next one, man. Hopefully I'll run into you in an event pretty soon, bro.
Yes, hopefully. Yes, definitely. Let me know what I know you did. Let me know what events you're going to. But hopefully we can coordinate that this year or early next year. But thank you very much for having me and looking forward to your success in the future.
All right, ditto, man. I'm going to follow you closely. Take care, man. Have a great day.
All right, you as well.